Hi. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Dustin's Vinyl. Anthony Kapfer shredding today.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, there are three of us right now. You're not getting this wrong. Dustin had some teeth issues, not with himself, with his dog and his girlfriend. Yeah, so he's doing a lot of running around in LA, and hopefully he'll be able to join us a little later on in the show. But right now it's Anthony Kapfer, who you just heard on the guitar, shredding, representing his Wu-Tang shirt because he's a Staten Island boy at heart. And of course we have, because his shirt is pissing me off, is the one and only Mr. Adam Holtz.
How's it going?
All right, guys. How was your weekend, folks?
Oh, pretty good. I don't remember if I did anything.
No shows?
Nah, virtual shows. I've been doing mostly just virtual shows.
I ran the tail of two completely different shows. Friday night, I was upstate New York, closing out a show, being the last Comic-Con. And it was kind of weird because it was a room basically full of psychiatrists. So everything you said, every joke was kind of like on a delayed reaction with that's funny. Yes. Then the next show on Saturday night, it was me and Bob DeBono co-headlining. We wound up, it was like a jam-packed room where you couldn't fit another person in. And it was just completely, it was a great show. It was just wild. Like, because it's in Staten Island. And,
Shaolin.
Yeah. And in the next room over, they had something called pastels. Every Saturday night they do pastels. And those of you not familiar with what pastels was, it was a big Brooklyn disco. I mean, like really like big, people go there on Friday and Saturday night. It would be jam-packed, a lot of like picture every stereotype that you can think of being disco, Italian, Staten Island, Brooklyn. That's what this place was. Okay. Now picture those people. They all went
to my high school.
Anthony, picture them 40 years later, not changing at all. Man. Guys, girls, it was like you've never seen anything like this before. I mean, they're all outside and they're wearing like the Verrazano Cadillac Club jackets.
Oh boy.
Playing the same music, the same attitude. It was insane. You're like, this was the big Saturday night for these people. And in the next room is us doing this comedy show for 150 people. It was, like I said, it was a crazy weekend, but speaking of comedy, man, the comedy world suffered a big loss yesterday, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, loss of Gilbert Gottfried. Did you ever work with him?
I never worked with him. I was a fan. I'm probably the only comic that I know who didn't have a photo with Gilbert Gottfried. Everyone posted him yesterday.
Today, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I never worked with him either.
You never did?
No. I would I tell you that. There's a couple of those that really hurt. Like I never got a chance to work or interview or meet Gilbert Gottfried. I always wanted to. And the other one for me was Jim Steinman. Do you know who that is?
Sounds familiar. The name sounds familiar. I don't know who that is.
Adam, do you know who Jim Steinman is?
Was that I'm trying to remember. It sounds very, very familiar.
Jim Steinman was a great songwriter. He's
Meatloaf.
Right. Meatloaf, Bonnie Tyler,
I thought you were talking about a comic.
No. I'm just talking about people who I would have either liked to have worked with or met or interviewed.
Oh, yeah.
And, there were two, those were two. On the comic side, it was always Gilbert. I just never had the opportunity. And Jim Steinman, I always
Is he the one that wrote all the songs on Bat Out of Hell?
Yeah. He wrote them, arranged them.
That's how I know the name.
He was brilliant. He really was, and I think the thing that they both had in common, and it was something that Dustin had always, was talking about, like when he tweeted this out, that he was kind of like an original,
Yeah.
And I think, and just like any great artist, I think what makes them great is their authenticity. And I mean, Gilbert was authentic. I mean, he did dirty jokes, but he didn't do them for the shock value of it. It came from a different place, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's also interesting. I mean, you're talking about authenticity, but at the same time, it was a character.
Right.
And there's not a lot of, that was like a very 80s thing to be able to have a career in stand-up doing a character, doing like a fake voice or whatever. And
like Bobcat Goldthwait, Andrew Dice Clay, Emo Phillips, Judy Tenuta. Yeah.
But still, he did the character with, I mean, I guess there was some level of authenticity in there, which is probably why he had the staying power. But yeah, I mean, you don't see that today. Somebody doing a voice.
A
character.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the only one who's still around today that I know of that is a character.
Emo.
Yeah, I was thinking also Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I mean, he's really Dan from Boston,
Yeah, I always forget that that's not a real thing.
Did you guys ever check out Gilbert Gottfried's podcast?
I didn't listen to his podcast. I don't really listen to podcasts.
It's a great one. And, maybe because, I'm just slightly younger than the two of you, but, that podcast, I mean, it was one of those, it was something that kind of like it spoke to me, like he would have on these guests who, I mean, he would sometimes get some big guests on, but he would also get on like the guy who played, the third banana on F Troop, who was a character actor, and like he just had a way of just making it interesting and funny, like all these character guys, and he would talk about old time Hollywood and television, and it was just, I just found it so interesting. Then he would have like comedians on, like some of his best stuff was with Artie Lang. Like the two of them could just riff and just go off, and they were just so funny. And I just listened to them like so many times, man. It's great, like on a road trip. We're not listening to some music. But speaking of music,
when you're not listening to John Cougar Mellencamp, you're putting on the.
Listen, you okay? Was this week's music choice your choice?
It was.
All right, let's try and get through this today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And let's talk. I'm going to let you introduce your band. I guess Adam will chime in. I guess this was a segment that Dustin wanted to do, where you guys we're trying to convince me and turn me on to some new music.
Yes.
Is that what this was supposed to be?
Well, it's not necessarily new, but yeah, an album that we think you'll probably hate, but hope that maybe we can talk you into enjoying. I believe Pitchfork considers this one of the greatest albums of the 90s. Mm-hmm. Talking about Neutral Milk Hotels in the Aeroplane Over the Sea. Oh, you got it on. You actually have it on vinyl. Nice.
Of course he does.
Oh yeah.
Nice. And he's wearing the T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. It came out in 1998. It is lo-fi kind of indie rock. It feels like if Pet Sounds helped inspire Sgt. Pepper, it feels like Pinkerton helped inspire this album. They feel like they go together in similar ways. But yeah, a lo-fi indie rock with very abstract sort of lyrics, some of which were influenced by the Diary of Anne Frank. Apparently, Jeff Magnum, is that his name?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He read the book before he wrote and recorded this album, and spent 3 days crying about it, and a lot of references in the lyrics to going back in time and saving her. they toured a little bit for this album. It was mildly successful, and as it became more successful, he sort of lost his mind, and the band went on hiatus indefinitely. And then the album started to get a bigger cult following. I believe spreading on the internet. I'm guessing Napster and things like that. And they've gotten back together a couple times to play, but really that album coming out was sort of the end of his music career.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of felt like he had nothing else to give after that. I don't. That's about all I have to say about it. I don't know, Adam, if you have some more in your deep dive,
right?
that you always do.
Well, it's it's basically a you have elements of folk in there, you have elements of psychedelic music, you have elements of like a New Orleans kind of funeral procession or funeral jazz mostly. And tons. I mean, there's also a few alt rock banger songs in there too, like New Holland 1945 or Ghost. It is, I mean, I think it's not just one of the best albums of the 90s, one of the best albums ever, to one of the biggest, one of the best indie rock albums too. And it's really, I was just reading something where it said it was a quintessential cult album that, as soon as you find this album, you want to share it with other people. And it's an album that I think if you love the album, you really love it. And, obviously it's not for everybody. There's gonna be a lot of people that hate the album, but
some of them are here.
Right. But it is, I keep listening to it now with that, keeping in mind that part of it is inspired by a Diary of Anne Frank, and a lot of the lyric. I mean, the lyrics are all over the place. They're very surreal, but they're also really beautiful lyrics too. I think the title track in the Aeroplane Over the Sea is one of the most beautiful songs ever written. And I think what you said too, I was thinking about it on this listening to it this week. I've listened to this many times, and listening to it this week, I was thinking about Pet Sounds as I listened to it. I think it's an equivalent album to it. And I think Weezer, Pinkerton, Beach Boys, Pet Sounds, I think are the two that, for me at least, come closest to this album.
Yeah.
It's it's amazing that this was it for Neutral Milk Hotel. This is their second album. As soon as it's over, this is, Jeff Mangum just hung it up and just became this almost cult figure in, I guess, the indie rock world.
Yeah, like Recluse and everything. He's like the J.D. Salinger of indie rock.
Yeah, and every time he would make an appearance, it would become even like just. I remember. I think there was I saw a photo of him at some kind of rally, and it just was plastered over all the blogs, over all the indie music publications. So everybody, it's just amazing, like how he kind of transcended this kind of cult status. But
and then bands like the Decemberists and bands like that are heavily influenced by this album. Yeah, which I'm sure Jeff also doesn't like.
Oh yeah. I would say, the Decemberists, and Arcade Fire was inspired by them. I even think there's a little bit of, I think Animal Collective too. Mm. There's a little bit of their sound in there, or a little bit of Neutral Milk Hotel sound in it. But it feels like a perfect album. It flows so well, even though it kind of mashes up a whole bunch of different genres in there.
And it's so short too. It does so much in such a short amount. It's under a half hour. What is it, like 26 minutes or something?
Is it? I think it's. I think it's. Let me see.
Let's see. It is. Oh no! I guess it's 40 minutes, but it's 11 songs. I thought it was shorter than that.
It's
40 minutes, so it's long enough.
Oh yeah. I got a story about Neutral Milk that I know Jeff is going to hate. I was at a friend's wedding. It was about like 8 years ago, and I ditched my girlfriend at the after party to go hang out with a few friends, to go to a room, just drink whiskey, pass around a bottle of whiskey, listen and sing this entire album.
Wow.
I'm waiting.
Right.
What? You're waiting. Just let us have fun with this.
Right. I'm giving you your moment. and then I will respond.
I didn't say. So you sang the whole thing.
There were three of us or so. We're just going, just passing this whiskey around, just singing it. What songs were your favorite off of this, Anthony?
I like Holland 1945. I mean, really, I like the whole thing. I like King of Carrot Flower. I mean, what is there? Three parts to it. I like all of it. It sort of flows. It almost, a lot of the songs connect, so it almost feels like you have to listen to the whole thing. You know? Most of the time when I put it on, I listen to the whole thing. But if I'm going to skip around a little bit, I'm definitely going to hit Holland 1945. It's so good, and it rocks pretty hard. It's like a upbeat. Could get you pumped. I've been brought up on stage a few times with that. Certain clubs are like, "What music do you want to be brought up to?" And I've picked that song a handful of times.
It's an interesting song because just how much they cut loose on it. It definitely feels like an outlier, but it also at the same time feels perfect for the album. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that there aren't more songs like it. You hear it and it feels like there's more songs like it on the album, even though there's not really.
Yeah, I think the only other close one to it would be Ghost. Everything else is more not even necessarily mellow. Maybe
it's
more
kind of like almost anti-folk. Except it's a little heavier, and there's definitely other influences, but there's a lot of that kind of or folk punk, I guess.
Yeah.
Anti-folk and folk punk with a lot of the songs. But yeah, I guess that's the rocker on there.
Yeah. That there's not really. I'm looking at the list too. There's not really any songs that I think are really skippable. I think the only one.
There's like one instrumental.
There's two. There's The Fool, which is very much kind of big. I think it was like a big brass kind of jazzy. Yeah. Kind of a funeral song, a little bit downbeat. But there was Untitled also, which is the next to last song on there. It's the only other. And that one's. I don't know if it's. I was trying to figure out today if that was bagpipes or accordions on that one.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was both.
Right. I mean, they use the saw. They use the saw also in there, especially in the Aeroplane Over the Sea. That bending kind of strange sound in there.
And Comely.
Yeah.
That's a great one. And I think at the end of that song, doesn't one of the guys in the band when I read that he does it in one take, and I forget what the guy says at the end. He's like, "Holy shit!" at the end of the song in the background.
Well, because that one changes tempo so many times. That to me, that's probably I don't know that for a while that's become kind of my favorite song. It's grown on me. I think it's because of all the different tempo changes in it, and also the lyrics. That's the one that you were talking about before. About he talks about he wishes he had a time machine to go back and save Anne Frank, and
it's a little something like that.
Yep.
That's one of the ones where there's a couple of songs where he mentions going back in time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess so. Some people try to claim it as a sort of a concept album, even though the lyrics are kind of all over the place and the styles also. But I think I mean, if Sgt. Pepper is a concept album, I would say this counts as well.
Well, I think also it's in the same vein as Radiohead's Kid A, where it's a concept album, but it's lyrically abstract. It's but it has a feel that it's cohesive, and it's the same thing where it's an album where you just can't sit down and listen to one song. You sit down, you listen to King of Carrot Flowers, and now you're sucked in, and you're going through the entire album, and in 40 minutes, it's the kind of the perfect length.
Yeah, for us, maybe too long for some people. Right. He's waiting to jump in.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for you to to finish this.
Oh, wow. Holy shit.
Because I cannot take, I mean, this conversation should be taking place in a hipster coffee shop. Okay. And of course, Anthony's wearing his wool hat today to just emphasize the point a little bit more.
Oh man.
God. I wanted to save it for the show, and I listen to this stuff when I'm out exercising, and I did everything in my power not to call you Anthony and Adam. Okay, right. I was gonna call you. I was like, "What the fuck?" I mean, I'm like, "Am I being punked right now?" Okay.
You're telling me you hated this worse than the Breeders and Bobby Bear Jr.?
Definitely hated it worse than the Breeders.
Worse than Daft Punk.
When I was listening to this, I was thinking, "Give me Daft Punk again." Okay, at least there was a okay. Also, your story, you're right. I did hate it. I just had one question. Was there a circle jerk involved? Okay, as you were listening to this, because this would be the background music for that. Okay.
Wow. It's similar to your story about listening to Rush and fighting on the bed.
What, 2112?
2112.
21, getting high, listening to 2112, right. Wrestling.
Oh, man. I don't hate Rush, but I don't like them that much. I respect them, but I can't listen to 2112.
We can never do a road trip together. I love you as a guy. You're a good dude, but I can never hang out with you. We would fight about the music and podcasts and everything. I love the bands you guys are referencing. The Decemberists and Arcade Fire. Okay, the only band I may hate more is the fucking Lumineers. Okay, who I had to see. Okay. Because me and Alan Fuchs went to go see U2.
Yeah, they opened for them.
And they were opening the opening act. And, he wanted to go see him. I was like, I wasn't going to be the Killjoy guy. And I'm just sitting there and like, this is brutal, beyond brutal. And I love how you use descriptions like, how in 1945 rocks hard. Nothing on this rocked hard. Nothing on this. We have different definitions of rocking hard. But I'm listening to this. I'm like, this is the quintessential Anthony band. Like if Anthony was going to have a soundtrack of his life, this is the music that would definitely be playing. There is nothing that you will ever introduce on this show that will surpass this as being the ultimate Anthony hipster, too cool for the room. I'm going to drink a latte, use words like
I don't drink lattes. I drink black coffee.
Drink black. Okay. Whatever you're going to do, wear an ironic t-shirt, whatever it is, this is the pinnacle. This is right. Okay.
I don't think anyone's ever used a slur based on an album. That's a.
But okay. But somehow I'm a huge Weezer fan, and
that's why it's surprising that you hate it so much.
I don't know if it was the vocals, how poorly I feel it's recorded. Listen, I'm looking at the titles of these songs, and I just want to fucking just break my phone. King of the Carrot Flowers, Part 1. That should never be on my playlist ever. And I listen to ABBA. Okay.
Oh man. But and ABBA Gold. I mean, there's some gems out there. But to me, it doesn't make sense. You like Weezer. You're talking about ABBA, right? This is somewhere in between. Pink, it's not that far off from Pinkerton. I mean, Weezer could have recorded this album.
It depends on the song, like Butterfly, which is the closing track of Pinkerton, and it could be the worst song on the album. Okay?
Oh man, I think it's a perfect way to end Pinkerton.
It is a good song. I like it. But I couldn't take a whole 40 minutes of Butterfly. This is a whole album of Butterfly. But I did think of something else, and because I looked into this band a little bit, and Jeff Magnum did, when you guys were telling the stories how he kind of disappeared and he kind of walked away from it. It kind of brought me immediately to thinking of a guy like Syd Barrett, from Pink
Pink
Floyd,
Floyd.
who just kind of somehow lost it because of the drugs.
Or
walked
even
away
Brian
and like,
Wilson with Pet Sounds.
and even Brian Wilson eventually came back.
Yeah, but he never. Well, I guess like 40 years later, he finished the follow up that was supposed to come after. Yeah. But I mean, it's a similar thing. I mean, he worked on Pet Sounds and went crazy, and that was it for a while.
Yeah. This isn't, to me, this isn't Pet Sounds. I guess the and I love Pet Sounds. I love the Beach Boys. I mean, when I talk about like my top 5 songwriters of all time, Brian Wilson is absolutely in that list, along with Jim Steinman, my personal favorites. It's just like, I don't know, man. I know what they're going for here. I just couldn't
So you don't like the quality of the recording, which was intentional. It was intentionally lo-fi.
Yeah, I don't like lo-fi.
And you don't like that it doesn't rock enough.
I don't like that it doesn't rock. I think maybe the only song I liked was in the Aeroplane Over the Sea.
Mm-hmm.
I think that sounded okay, but then it has to be followed up by Two-Headed Boy. I hated the titles of these songs. Communist Daughter. Oh Calmly absolutely blew, only because it's probably 8 minutes. That's probably, I love The Fool because there was no singing and it was less than 2 minutes.
So you didn't like his voice either?
I didn't like his voice. No, I don't like a song that's called Untitled. I think Holland 1945, man, I don't know, man. I could not. I tried to get into it. I really did. And then I as I'm listening to it and I realized I'm listening to it, I'm getting angry.
Oh man. I had a feeling that you wouldn't love it, but I know that we've talked about Weezer and stuff. And so because I think it is so close to Pinkerton, I was like, maybe we could get Jeff on board with this album.
Do you like heavy metal?
I like some. I mean, I brought Slayer to the show.
You did, which is surprising. Right.
I like thrash metal a little bit, but I don't like all types of metal all the time.
Do you like Judas Priest?
A couple songs.
You see, that's the thing. Is like you would. I was thinking like if you would, so you like Judas Priest, let's say, but then you would hate. But then you would hate something like harder. That's why I kind of look at this. It's like, okay, I kind of like. I like Weezer. I love Pinkerton. It's my favorite Weezer album. But then this takes it to a different level of just like complete like. Avant-garde nerdiness. I don't know, man. It's like the whole thing, the whole story. I couldn't give a. I mean, listen, I love history. I've been to Anne Frank's house a couple of times. One time on mushrooms. Okay, right. But I've done it.
I like that you had to stop yourself because you were about to say you don't give a fuck about the story, and then you realize it's tied into the Anne Frank, and you're like, well, maybe I do care about Anne Frank,
but I don't know if I want an album dedicated to this.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that all the lyrics are about. I think a lot of people want the whole album to be about Anne Frank. I think there's a couple of parts of a couple of songs that reference it, and I think that most of the songs are kind of all over the place and they're not really about anything.
Right.
Adam, did you see them live?
I did. I saw them live at they had when they reunited in, I think it was around like 2013 or 2014.
Like in a soup kitchen?
They played in it was a restored 1920s movie theater.
Fucking course they did.
Of course it was
in Jersey City. Yeah.
I think that's cool, but Jeff thinks it's
lame.
Yes.
I mean, you would have hated the show. I mean, first Jeff Mangum dressed. I mean, Anthony's dressed like what Jeff Mangum was dressed as up on stage. He had the wool cap on. He had but everybody around was just crying during the show.
Oh man.
Why were they crying?
Oh, I mean,
it's emotional. It's emotional music.
But it was one of those shows. The one thing that it was also a show everybody was sitting for the entire show.
Nobody was sitting.
Yeah, I just don't.
Was there not a like there wasn't a floor, like a dance floor, mosh pit
it was,
area?
because it was hay on the floor, man. Because that's what you do.
Oh, right. It was a movie theater, so everyone was sitting, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. That's one thing. I always like to at least have the option at a show to stand up and enjoy it. I was at a Rolling Stone show where the first song it was one of the 50th anniversary shows at Prudential Center, and it was like in the upper tier, first row. And me and my friends stood up at the first song, and everybody behind us started yelling at us to sit down.
They're like, "We paid good money for these."
Exactly. But no, I was a bit. I mean, I thought they were great live. I was a bit disappointed just because it wasn't as lively a show.
No, get out of here. They didn't rock live.
How did his voice sound live?
It sounded great, but
because I feel like that his voice could go either way. Although I feel like the album is probably, I would imagine that a lot of it was done in full takes.
Yeah,
it feels like that kind. He's like that kind of singer. But all those years later, who knows if he can? But he still could do it.
Yeah,
nice.
I need to decompress after this one. I mean, this.
I didn't think it would make you angry.
It made me angry because I spent time listening to it, and then I went back and tried to listen to a couple of songs again to see maybe I'm misjudging this. And then I wanted to read a little bit about them. And when this movie, how many people came to see this concert?
It might have been over 2,000.
Wow!
I mean, it was sold out. It was completely sold out.
I'm up until, and this is why I love doing this show, is that, whether I like it or not, you get turned on to different music, and that in itself is pretty cool. But I had never even remotely heard of this band or come across them.
Huh.
So like, where did you guys, like, I mean, especially in 98, man, they weren't, I don't ever remember seeing them on MTV, or I don't remember them even opening up for anybody. Did they ever tour with anyone who may have been a bigger act that exposed them? Were they signed on a real label, like
I think it was an indie. Isn't it an indie label?
It was an indie. Yeah, they only sold 393,000 copies.
Merge Records. But they're connected with like the Apples and Stereo. They worked kind of together on some stuff. But the cult following that they got was all on the internet. So, because I also don't remember them getting a lot of. I don't remember seeing them on MTV, and didn't really hear them on the radio either. I got into them, later. I didn't have this album in '98, but I did hear about it a few years later.
It also wasn't a critically acclaimed album at first, and I'm seeing over here,
much like Pinkerton.
Yeah,
right, exactly. And now that there's the reevaluation of it, you see like Pitchfork gave it a 10, Rolling Stone gave it 5 stars. Everybody put it down as put it down on their list of the best albums of the '90s, and
revisionist history.
Yeah.
Well, what do you know what they were saying about it at first?
I think a lot of the criticism was over. So I think it was over his voice. Let me see. I'm pulling up the. I think they said it was his acoustic songs were lifeless.
Did Jeff write this?
Right. Let's see. A blend of Sgt. Pepper with early '90s lo-fi.
And that was a
positive
thing?
one. No, that was one of the positive ones. Let's say. Yeah, there's.
I do think that's a good way to describe it. I mean, in the '90s, probably Pinkerton and this album come the closest to anything like Sgt. Pepper or Pet Sounds.
Okay.
Or maybe some Radiohead stuff. I don't know. The 90s version of that.
It doesn't remind me anything of Sgt. Pepper, Pet Sounds. Of course, Radiohead, because it's another band that I think is completely overrated. I hate them. OK Computer, is that the one with Karma Police on it?
Yeah, that's Karma Police. I figured you'd like that one. Or the Benz, OK Computer, Pablo Honey, those first three.
Yeah,
but I like Pablo Honey because it sounds like what I imagine U2 could have sounded like if they weren't shitty. It's like better U2 for me.
You think U2 is shitty?
Yeah, I really don't like U2.
But this stuff, you like this better than U2.
I like Neutral Milk Hotel more than I like
Neutral Milk Hotel. The Aeroplane Over the Sea is better than Joshua Tree or Hot Tongue Baby. It's better than that. It's not
even close.
I'd probably go the same though. I would pick In the Aeroplane Over the Sea over any U2 album, but I would pick U2 to see if I wanted to go. I mean, I've seen U2 a bunch in concert too, and they always put on a great show, even if Bono's voice is completely shot right now. And I was probably at that same show, the U2 Joshua Tree at MetLife.
MetLife.
Yeah, I skipped the Lumineers. I was like, I cannot. I hate the Lumineers. Also, I cannot go in there to see them.
Okay, we have a chance of hanging out.
Right. I did see. I was at one of the years I went to Coachella. Lumineers they had that one big song, and that was it. Hey, yeah.
Have you ever heard this song, Anthony?
I know the name of the band, but I'm not really familiar with their stuff.
Have you ever heard Hey?
I don't think so.
It is just a song where it's just some type of like nonsense music, and then and just some indiscriminate time they yell "Hey!"
Yeah.
Oh.
Those
are the lyrics.
It's an awful song. And the funny thing was, I go over there to the stage. I'm like walking over there. They're playing that song. It was the first song they played. As soon as they were done, the entire crowd left.
I thought they all sounded exactly the same. I thought it was. Oh God! That was also something I could not take. It was a good thing. I was still pretty buzzed, by at that time though. But I thought U2 was great, man.
I'm listening to them now. I don't like it.
Thank you. Okay. I thought the way U2. the way the stadium.
Oh, this is awful.
Isn't it terrible?
Oh, it's really bad. It reminds me of like Mumford and Sons.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. You don't like that same.
No, I hate that stuff. Ugh, not into that at all.
Yeah, it's all terrible.
Yeah.
But this I feel is kind of like the grandfather of it.
I could see that, but I still like this. And what you're describing is how I feel like Nirvana was sort of the precursor to a lot of really awful. Like we wouldn't have bands like Puddle of Mud.
Right.
If Nirvana didn't exist. But that doesn't mean that Nirvana sucks. It just means that a lot of people heard the music and were inspired to make shittier versions. So I hear what you're saying. Yes, I'm pretty sure that all those bands love Neutral Milk Hotel, and it's their fault.
Right.
They must. Yeah, they're probably like they have a statue erected like this. This is the beacon of crappy indie music. Is Honey Neutral Milk Hotel. Even the name is brutal.
I don't like the name. If I'm being honest, it's a terrible band name.
It's trying too hard. No, it's trying. It's one of those things. It's like, man, it's like you could see people in Williamsburg, wearing and Adam who would fit right in because he has a beard and wears the shirt. Like he would wear that shirt, but like when in Williamsburg, he'd go like to lunch in a soup kitchen wearing a monocle. That would be
riding a unicycle.
Right. Take two weird things, put them together, okay, and that makes you weird and ironic and perfect for Neutral Milk Hotel, right? But that I could see playing like in the luncheonettes or that. Oh God, man, this was a bad one. This was a bad one.
Oh, no, Jeff, I was going to ask, are there any indie bands that you really like?
I have never heard Jeff not speak.
Right.
I was thinking about this week. You know, I was again, this brought out a lot of thought for me. Okay, I really had to do a lot of pondering. I had to walk away from the gym, find a spot like, you know, where they have like, you know, shakes, and just sit and collect my thoughts and get myself together. And I'm not making this up. I really did this. And I was just thinking about it. And I was like, you know what? I really do appreciate. Oh, he thought he lost his connection. Someone wrote. I realized I have such an appreciation now for producers and, you know, just making records sound really good, you know, and just great songwriting. And it made me hate Anthony a lot more that he hates John. Like, I can't understand why you wouldn't like John Mellencamp. They're good songs that produced well. You know, they're songs that aren't frivolous, especially when you look at Scarecrow and Lonesome Jubilee. They speak to the heart of regular people. I don't get it. But then you'll listen to this.
Well, produced well has very little to do with listenability. I mean, punk rock was a entire, you know, it was a response to artists like that.
No, there was those records were produced well. Those Ramon records were produced well.
I mean, Ramones, sure. Yeah, the Ramones, they even recorded their stuff to a click. But then there was stuff like Black Flag and Dead Kennedys, and the first Bad Brains album. I mean, it's not produced the way a John Mellencamp album is produced. No, but that's the point.
You could hear the difference in production when bands start to like emerge, and you can appreciate the quality of the recording. Like when you look at the first Metallica record and then you look at Ride the Lightning and how much different that they sound, or even Def Leppard, when you go with their first record into High and Dry, which is the second one, when they bring on Mutt Lange and they, you know, and it becomes like, you know, much more polished. I guess I'm more accustomed to that. I mean, that's what I've always kind of liked. But at the same time, I do like when you can take a song, strip it down to just its essentials, and maybe just play it acoustically, and you can hear it's such a great song. Like the Cars. You know, there's a bunch of recordings and a bunch of YouTube videos of Rick Ocasek just doing songs in like Borders and at some of these record stores, where it would be him and another person playing acoustic guitar, and they did a song called "You're Not the One," and you may know it from Billy Madison. I'm not the one. That's what it's called. I'm not the one.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and it's that scene where he's opening up the
Valentine's cards, yeah.
The Valentine, and if you listen to the original recording, it's very produced. It's very, very synthesizer, and then when you hear it, just him singing with an acoustic guitar, it's probably better than the original, or just as good. It's so good. So I can appreciate a stripped down, but it has to be recorded well, and the person has to be able to sing, and that's where you can hear it out.
And that's like Chris Cornell also, when he was doing his, especially if you listen to the album Songbook, which is his live acoustic recordings of Soundgarden, of what was the
Audio
Slave. Some of those Audio Slave songs, like a Stone. That's the one. Like a Stone, or even the Soundgarden songs like Fell on Black Days that he puts on there. I think the acoustic versions sound better in a way.
Well, he's got such an amazing voice.
Yeah,
like a real like it's unique. It's, you know, like it's distinctive. You know.
Yeah. Well, Jeff Mangum is no Chris Cornell.
No,
he's probably closer to a Billy Corgan. If you know more, if you had to compare him to one of those bands, probably Billy Corgan's. You know, the uniqueness of the voice. Yeah, his voice is unique, but it's, you know, he's not a.
No, Billy Corgan isn't a great singer.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but his voice is unique.
It is unique,
Just
and
like
if it's
Jeff
the
Mangum.
style, right, and if it's the style of music that he does, I love.
Or Kurt Cobain even.
Right. Yeah, I think Kurt Cobain has a better voice than Billy Corgan, and everybody has a better voice than Jeff Mangum.
Yeah. I'm just talking about distinct sounding voices that are not. I mean, because Chris Cornell was just an amazing singer.
And did you ever think about maybe joining this band?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm doing a tribute act.
Yes, we're going to do this one. We're going to do it in a phone booth. Okay.
That'd be a good show.
We like the acoustics in here, and it's easy to sell out.
I've always wanted to do. I thought about it for stand-up, but I always wanted to do a stand-up special that was inside one of those karaoke rooms.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
You just get like 5 to 8 people in that little tiny room, and then you use the microphone they give you. I always wanted to do that.
Anthony, do you remember your days in New York? And,
yes.
Okay. And do you remember there used to be an open mic in a place called Planet Rose, which was a karaoke room?
I don't know if I ever did that room, but I remember hearing about it.
Yeah. That kind of room would have played Neutral Milk Hotel. It's maybe why and that reason alone, maybe why the comics there didn't like me. I don't know.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah, has nothing to do with my abrasive style, right? But speaking of stand up, Adam, why don't you bring in the next segment? Before we end this, and we're gonna talk about one album. And by the way, great job, guys. Bringing this. This was a very interesting segment, by the way. I'm sorry Dustin missed it.
You would have loved it. Oh, what was the quote Dustin wanted us to?
Oh yeah, he did have.
I think we got to wait until we bring this album in.
Yes. So
I thought it was for Neutral Milk Hotel.
I thought it was for this. I
think it's a combination of both.
Oh,
okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked one album where Adam and Anthony think I may hate it, and now we're going to talk about a comedy album and get it. Adam, discuss the comedy.
All right, so we're going to go with Adam Sandler's debut album. They're all going to laugh at you from I think it was 93, and so this is it's a comedy skit album. He's got a few comedy songs and comedy skits, and he basically created this album as if it was a movie. It was just going to be an audio movie, and you could tell this is a high production album. There's a lot of Foley work on it. It's in a way, it kind of reminds me of maybe a Kentucky Fried Movie.
That's a great reference.
Yeah, it was. When I was listening to it today, I just kept thinking of that, just the kind of skits that were in it. And this is an album that I absolutely loved in high school, and I think it's definitely this is the first time I'm revisiting it since the 90s, and this is really I think it's an album you appreciate a certain age. I don't know if I think you appreciate this if you're in middle school, high school, or college, and then you grow out of it. But it's still, there's still bits on this that were great. I know I was reading an oral history of this, and Adam Sandler was saying that this was the kind of humor that he enjoyed in high school. And that's, I guess, what he was channeling here. So what I found was really interesting, which I didn't know back when I listened to this, was, you knew that David Spade is on this, Rob Schneider is on this, the SNL, he's got Tim Meadows on it too.
Tim Meadows, yeah.
I didn't realize that he had Judd Apatow working on this. He had Bob Odenkirk. Bob Odenkirk actually wrote or co-wrote the Lunch Lady Land song. And you also have Robert Smigel on it also. Oh, and Conan O'Brien's on it too. He's doing he plays the Dean's role in the buffoon and the Dean.
Oh, God.
That's pretty funny. That was actually a pretty funny one.
Oh yeah. I think the buffoon ones were some of my favorites back then. I think they're still pretty funny if you listen to it now. It's very it's Adam Sandler doing a lot of his SNL stuff. I mean, this was early on in his SNL run. Him doing a lot of his SNL stuff, but but obviously just going very raw with it, very raunchy, stuff that I think to me what appealed to me and my friend. I mean, I would listen to this with my friends and we would just fucking just die laughing. It was
what bits did you guys die laughing at?
The buffoon bits, and I think because we're in high school, the even though right now you listen to like the beating of a high school janitor or they're just so stupid right now. But I mean, I'll tell you the two funniest ones at a medium pace and Toll Booth Willie were the ones that we would just quote constantly. Especially Toll Booth Willie.
Oh man!
But this one actually, at the time, I wanted to write comedy, and like this was one of this album. The Naked Gun film, all the Zucker Brother satires, and
love all that stuff. Yeah.
And SNL at the time, the 90s SNL was the stuff. I mean, I really wanted to write skits, and this, this album, his next album, I know his next one's the one that has the Hanukkah song on it. But these, I mean, I would just listen to these on repeat, and it does, it doesn't really. So, I still enjoyed it listening to. I enjoyed Right Field. I know that was one one that he wrote.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And that was one he wrote for SNL. I'm surprised they actually didn't.
Let me ask you something. So I'm sorry, but this came out in '93, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys remember a show called WKRP in Cincinnati?
Yep.
I mean, not when it was actually on, but yeah, I did see it in reruns.
Well, there was an episode where Les Nessman, who played the nerdy news guy, was out in right field, and he kept saying, "Please don't hit it to me.
Right.
Please don't hit it to me." That's what this kind of reminded. I kind of kept feeling maybe he may have been inspired by that.
Right. Well, that's like
I played right field in Little League, and that brought me back.
You bat ninth.
Yeah, I was not good. I was sometimes I'd be a designated runner for.
I can see
other kids.
You could be pretty fast.
Yeah, but I was not good and very useless in any other situation than running.
I mean, I can remember that being on the outfield and just being like, "Oh, please, just don't hit it to me. Don't hit it to me. Let's just get off the field."
Yeah.
But there's Lunch Lady Land was great. Especially like how it just switches. There's a lot of grunge in that one too. It switches a couple different styles.
By the way, that was my least favorite on the album.
The least favorite of his songs. That one
of everything. I remember when he would do it on Saturday Night Live, and I always hated it. I didn't get it. I didn't think it was funny. I knew what he was going for. I just didn't like it. It didn't bring back memories for me. But there were a lot of other things on this. As I think you go deeper into the album, there were things I did like on it.
Yeah, I think the album gets better as it goes along. And I always like how they bring, there's the two buffoon sketches, and then there's two other sketches where they just bring in the buffoon as the punchline.
Okay, so you had buffoon and the valedictorian.
Yeah.
Is the other one the one he's on the date?
The date, yeah.
That's pretty funny too.
Yeah,
that's really funny. That's actually a very clever skit.
Yeah, especially the way the sound is too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Who's the girl
Foley,
on it?
The Foley is good.
Oh, it was. I gotta look it up again, but
I liked the Buddy skit.
Oh yeah,
I remember seeing it like as a cartoon or something.
Really?
Like I think they or maybe that's just maybe it's just from the album. Maybe it's like they made a video. I always thought that made it to Saturday Night Live as like a animated sketch, because I remember seeing something in the 90s with that one. But that one's probably my favorite.
I also wonder if that inspired the Budweiser "What's Up" commercials.
Oh,
what's that? I wonder which came first.
Let me see. I think
because that I thought of that as well.
You thought of the "What's Up"? That was like 98 or something.
Was it? It was that late.
Late 90s, yeah.
While he's looking for that, even though it was stupid, I thought it was really funny. Like it made me laugh when he was doing like his mother's voice. Like, "They're all gonna laugh
Oh yeah,
you.
Oh yeah,
From,
which is
Carrie.
from Carrie, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first few times he was doing it, I'm in the gym again. I was listening to it today. I'm cracking up. I think that was really, really funny. That voice is a funny voice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great one. And I think that's the other thing too, is that the skits are really short. So none of them really, not like most SNL skits, like these don't overstay their welcome.
No.
You know, if it doesn't work, they get out fast.
Yeah. The beating ones were some of my favorites. Those are also the shortest.
Yeah.
But for me, I grew up with the other album. What is it called? What the hell happened to me?
What the hell happened to me? Yeah.
That was the one that I grew up with. You know, I bought that probably in 6th or 7th grade. And that one I loved, with the Hanukkah song and Steve Polychronopoulos and all that stuff. And the skits, I loved those skits. And then this one, I thought I was going to be really into it. And a lot of it, I was like, man, this is hard to listen to.
So the first couple were, I mean, Fatty McGee is like, we get the punchline. Now we got to listen to it for 3 more minutes.
I think that's the worst one on there.
Yeah. Well, because the sounds, I laughed a few times actually, because it does get so ridiculous, but he's just making some of the most annoying sounds on a lot of these tracks. He's just doing the most annoying things with his voice that he could possibly do. And that is kind of the joke. But it was like very early 90s humor. And it is also very, like you're saying, it's like middle school, high school, college. So it had a place in time.
You don't want to. You also got to take that into account, I think, when you listen to this, is that it is of the time. It is the 90s.
Yeah,
and
very much.
It's really the first introduction of Adam Sandler and this type of music, and this type of comedy, because, he really didn't evolve too much from it.
Well, I don't know. Not in the 90s so much, but that special he did a couple years, what was that, 2018 or something? I forget what it was called.
Is that the one when he did the tribute to Folly?
Yeah.
I think he might have had a tribute to him.
He came back. Is that the one he did? He did, I think, at the comic strip. Am I right?
He did. It was like filmed at like 10 different places or something.
Yeah, I think that was the one with
he was doing
Chris
all
Farley
these short
tribute.
songs and stuff. The worst part of it was when Rob Schneider kind of comes down from the rafters. That was that was unnecessary. But like all of the songs that he did on that last special, I thought they were great. Just like really funny and super short, which, I watched that and I was like, let me experiment with that. Like just having a song that has one punchline and then it ends, and so I mean, if you listen to this album and you watch his last special, I think he evolved quite a bit, but he had to. I mean, 30 years or whatever.
He hung around for a long time doing a lot of the same. It's like you could see this album, how it evolved into Billy Madison and then Happy Gilmore, which, listen, I still watch those. I love Billy Madison. I still will quote that movie, I think, on a daily basis, something out of it. I still think it's funny. I do think, some of his, Adam Sandler is a guy. I mean, we can one day, if you want, we can kind of go over his albums, say his movies, say what are hits, what are misses, because he almost goes 50-50.
Yeah.
But I think maybe like his best one, maybe, and I think it showed the most growth, was a movie like Big Daddy.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a good one.
Yeah,
but,
that wasn't bad.
Yeah, but then he had a lot of the same movie. Like, I can't tell the difference between Blended and the one with, I don't know, 50 First Dates, and they all seem to be like the same type of thing.
Yeah. Well, and now at this point, I think he just makes movies so he can go on vacation with his friends.
Right.
I think he even says it. It's like just kind of an excuse to hang out and go somewhere. So
which makes me upset. I wish I was one of his friends.
Yeah, I know.
But I heard he's been great to them. Like, he'll get them cars, and they all get a big fat paycheck for doing these movies. And I mean, really,
where would Rob Schneider be today if not for Adam Sandler?
He'd be doing the Animal Part 2.
He would actually have the job that he had in the sketch where he goes, Sandlerino making copy. He would actually be that guy if it wasn't
Copy
for
guy.
Adam.
That was actually pretty funny. You didn't like that, Anthony, did you?
I like that sketch. I
Yeah,
don't like anything else he's done.
Would Kevin James be in any movies? Because some of his best movies are what's the one? What's the one when the coach died? Where he, and then there's the thing with Adam Sandler. He always has a unbelievably beautiful leading lady, and this was the one with Selma Hayek. Grown Ups.
Oh, Grown Ups. Yeah.
Right.
I think I saw that one. It was okay.
Yeah, Grown Ups 2 could be one of the worst movies ever put out. Like you can't believe it got green lighted. Listen, guys, man, this was a lot of fun. This was good. I'm sorry we missed Dustin, but hopefully we'll get him back next week. And we've loved to have heard his input.
We can do it without him.
Right.
Yeah, so we could do it without him. It could be a good show, and but we'd love to have heard his input on these conversations.
His quote. You got his quote?
Oh yeah.
Let's end with Dustin's quote.
All right. So his quote was, he made Adam Sandler sound like Pavarotti. That was Jeff Mangum from the Neutral Milk Hotel.
So he didn't like Neutral Milk Hotel either. All right.
On that note, let's wrap this up. Guys, thank you so much for watching Dustin's Vinyl. Sans Dustin Chafin, but he'll be back next week. And Anthony, play us out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll just do a little.
Perfect ending. Take care, everybody.